Sonny, let's start with uh, stuff going on in Iran. So obviously, war is not good, but obviously, it is happening, and it's going to have a large, geopolitical and macro effect on the market. So I think we're going to see, probably metals rise. We're going to see tech, I think, fall off a bit. We did see that at the start of open here of the Asia session. But we did actually see a really strong rally with Nasdaq and the S&P, and then gold has been hovering about up about 2%. So we saw a really hard move on that, and then it came back down. I know defense stocks like LMT, which is Lockheed Martin, had about, I think they were up 20% pre-market. I think they're up at like 10% now. So they're rallying. So I'm expecting, large cap defense to rally with small caps probably lagging. I think kind of the Honda stuff and some of our other favorite plays are probably up in the air for tomorrow. I think defense, is going to be bullish as long as this is going on, but smaller market cap stuff might suffer. So just to start, I know we've had quite a few videos and things happen with Eric Brock and Ondas and all of that, but I just want to give you a second to introduce yourself. Say who you are, what you do on After Hour, and some of your favorite plays.
Yeah, sure. I'm Benny, Sunnyside, on After Hour. And Yeah, I'm retired. My wife still works. I'm in my late 50s. She's just over 60. She likes getting up and going to work at the hospital. And Retired general contractor. Done many things in my life, but investing is definitely the most rewarding financially for sure. And it's a lot of fun too. I tell you, After Hour has been a real boon in terms of finding some good plays, but also in meeting some great people. JT, you among them, and Young Ember and Tron as the other founding members of Zero Hour. We've found each other, and I think we've got a quality group here. We all come from different different areas, different ages, different stages of life, but yeah, it was a lot of fun and very informative, and I can't wait to start sharing some of that content that we gathered going down there and interviewing Eric Brock at his at the brand new headquarters.
I can't wait. I mean, it's insane how much content and one-on-one time we got with him. It's been a long time coming to get that out, so I'm really excited to see some of that content released this week. In the form of probably a bunch of short form content and then full form interviews with each member of Zero Hour with Eric. We've talked about a lot of stuff and asked them questions that aren't even out yet in terms of they haven't been answered to like the general public. No like insider information, but just important questions that as being like on this experts that we thought needed to be asked and we got answered. So I think it's gonna be really good for shareholders of Ondas just to get some more overhead on what's going on. And going into this week especially, I think we might see a surge on Ondas for sure in stock price just with affiliations they have and just the modern scope of war with Jones and whatnot. They're actually up, I think, 50 cents or so in After Hours. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I saw that right at 8 o'clock. They started jumping right away.
yeah, yeah.
I would caution folks though a little bit. I mean, this what's happening right now with Iran, and basically they're basically getting bombed. We don't know what else might be happening actually on the ground or close in, the special forces and that kind of thing. But this is really not what Ondas is going after. We do have in the portfolio of products some offensive kinetic, basically kamikaze one-way drones, but most of what they're centered around is the autonomous counter drone sphere. At the moment. Of course, they got the ground vehicles, and I saw a video today. By the way, it wasn't necessarily an Ondas one, I don't think, but it came out of Ukraine. But it was basically a ground, one of those tracked, little small tracked vehicles, but it had rocket launchers on it. Um,
Was it one of Robo Team's pieces, or you said
yeah,
it was
yeah,
okay?
it was actually on, and that's I think we saw the same video then. Because yeah, it was a Robo Team deal.
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand with Ondas. I mean, they do have the Wasp drone, which is the one-way FPV attack drone, but their main focus is on counter UAV and kind of defense with the ability to enhance like border protection. So, like with the Hive systems we're seeing in around like Israel borders, they're looking for like an autonomous stack of defensive capabilities. It's possible with that Rotron acquisition, with the loitering munitions, as well as some of the carrier units for the UAV stuff. We might see more offensive capabilities, but I think it's a lot more defensive stack with logistical support. Um, so we'll see if they get a contract with like the Department of Defense with those wasps. But the big thing for them is going to be counter UAV, kind of UAS stuff, and also probably more on like the municipality side of things versus actual military. I think the use case for them is airports. It's going to be like stadiums, events, areas where there's less drones, but their technology is very good at identifying smaller drones and then mitigating them and making sure it's safe around
Right.
civilians
Oh,
and things. So
yeah, just about any kind of critical infrastructure you can think of. You know, nuclear power plants, water treatment plants. But on the
yeah,
military side of things now, the first rule is what the referee tells you before they ring the bell. Is protect yourself at all times. And the military is keen on. In fact, I went to high school with a buddy of mine that graduated from West Point, and he's taught me a lot over the years. But his first job was air defense artillery. So this was long before the drones were any kind of a threat. But this would be right in the wheelhouse of what he did just starting out in the late '80s after graduating from West Point. But it's one thing to shoot at things in a war zone, but that can't happen. Like for instance, I'm here in Charleston, South Carolina. There's an Air Force base right here. You can drive right down Aviation Avenue and look across the airfield and see maybe $1 billion or more worth of C-17s lined up.
yeah,
Um, those things are vulnerable right now with off-the-shelf commercial technology and drones. So this is right in Ondas' wheelhouse. That air base, not to mention the airport, the civilian side of things. Boeing is right there on the other side of the airfield. But this is all critical infrastructure that is extremely vulnerable to uh, you know bad actors. And if you remember the drone attack that Ukraine did a few months back, deep inside Russia, where they sort of inserted these drones that were
mhm,
in a container or some kind of a truck, and then they remotely activated them. And they destroyed nuclear bombers. These are long range bombers, part of the nuclear triad. And so that cost differential, that asymmetric cost differential where drones that cost a few $1,000s with their explosives are destroying multi-million dollar assets. That's something that has just flipped everything upside down, and just changed the whole paradigm for how militaries and on the civilian side, public assets, critical infrastructure needs to be protected. And you can't just shoot at things over downtown Charleston or Minneapolis or anywhere where civilians are. So anyway, I would caution folks not to see too much hype or pumping for Ondas just based on us attacking Iran with F-35s and F-18s and traditional assets coming off of an aircraft carrier. But there's definitely a greater awareness that's happening now. That Dubai airport's the busiest airport in the world, and it's shut down right now. There's
yep,
no traffic coming in or out of there, and that's like a hub for the entire, you know, Indian subcontinent, into Asia and then back to the Near East. It's that's a major disruption. So, being able to protect these civilian assets, that's what Ondas is all about. But I wouldn't leave out the military bases.
No, absolutely. So I mean, in regards to the price, I saw a question on there. Price target. Of course, we can't really give out price targets. No one knows what it's going to do. I'd say this is probably going to be a bullish event for them, but I don't think in the way that people would think. Because I don't think it's really attributable to them. They're more municipalities, airfield defense, things like that against like smaller
Right.
drones. While you see the Iranian, autonomous drones that are flying are much larger. That's outside of Ondas's use case at this time. That's going to be separate things, and because it's a war zone, it's probably going to be like ballistic defense or maybe some like microwave technology for UAS. But I mean, the use case is massive for municipalities, borders, things like that. So I think it's generally bullish, but I don't think it's going to you know, be something where they're going to see like large contracts from the DoD because of a war in Iran. But of course, with Iran and Israel, we know that Ondas is probably a neo prime with Israel at this point. It's not a prime
Yeah, no
prime, but a
doubt.
neo prime. So I still think that they might make get money for this, and they might actually advance border projects that they're working on there with the Hive system. So long term, extremely bullish on Ondas. Currently, I am looking for like that $30 by the end of 2026. Of course, that's almost three times the current price. So that's shooting for the stars. I do have some leaps for January 1st, 2027, as a lot of uh, my subscribers know. We're looking for probably an exit around the first set of warrants, which are about $20. So we're going to look for a large uptick in the price, and then probably dump those leaps once we see a meaningful move. And of course, I'm
I've
a
got
little
the
line
same
as
leaps, I
well.
believe.
What's up?
I've got the same leaps for
Yep.
January 27,
Yep.
and yeah, I'll start looking. 6 months out. It would be a good time to take profit on those if we got some upward price movement. As far as my the way I look at it is, Eric taught me something in California. We had a conversation, and he was explaining how institutional investors can't touch Ondas or a stock like Ondas when it's a dollar, two, $3. It's just too far below a floor for them to justify the money that their investors are giving them.
Yep.
But uh, but that's the advantage that we have as retail investors, and is being able to buy that stock. And by the time institutional investors can get in, we have a chance to already be up four, five, six times, maybe more, seven, eight times. And so that really, the fact that we are in so far ahead of big money, smart money,
Yep.
institutional money, gives me the confidence and the cushion, more or less, to really play the long game here with them. And as far as price targets go, it's really hard to predict the market and what happens. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know why they call these things securities, right? They
Yep.
cannot be very secure sometimes, but uh those $28 strikes, I just every time I got a little doubt creeping in, or something, is talking to me from the negative side of things, I just have to remind myself that, hey, somebody bought a whole bunch of warrants that are useless unless we hit $28, you
Yeah,
know.
and even 20
Uh,
before that too. So we have, I mean,
that's
multiple
right.
strikes there that are going to be key levels. So I'm really looking for a potential liquidity target of $20 with a reversal after that, and then a move up to 28 after. So I'll probably be de-risking my ONDL position around that $20 mark on the Ondas stock, and then ONDL will probably be somewhere around like 60 to $80 at that point, I think.
Right.
Of course, it's going to manipulate and change as we move, and there's fees and reallocation, so it might not be exactly that, but that's probably what I will plan on reallocating and taking money out of ONDL, waiting for it to come back down after it hits those warrants, and then looking for another push back up. Probably planning to diversify into more of the manufacturing side. So I want more unusual machines, which is ticker UMAC, and more light path technologies, which is ticker LPTH. Reason being, drone dominance program is coming. It's going to be 300,000 drones. That means 300,000 a drone's worth of parts that we need. So drone manufacturing is going to pick up. We know that with the NDAA stuff, the FCC has put a lot of like Chinese components, which is the main producer, on a covered list, meaning we can't import those for NDA specific stuff. I know that I believe they lifted some regulations, but you have to understand that there's not many. Oh yeah, we can put the tickets in chat after. Uh, Sorry, we have to understand that there's not many onshore domestic producers for these parts. That's kind of a new frontier because America was behind on the drone race. China was
Mhm.
10 years ahead of us. So you got to look at the ones that are probably going to succeed. We know that UMAC, which is UAMC, Unusual Machines, does have connections to the White House. They are already doing Army contracts. They're in with Ondas. They're talking like PW. They're in, and they're the prime for motors and FPV headsets. So they're definitely a huge play for me. And then, as you guys know, with Lightpath, I'm also bullish on them, due to them being domestic, and them producing black diamond glass, which is needed for infrared lenses, which is used in all drones, cameras, things like that. And as we know, germanium is hard to get because it's sourced from China mainly. And if we have a solution here that's cheaper and better, that's probably going to be a big winner. So those are my two picks for manufacturers for the drones. I know a few others that I want to talk about. So Benny, I know you have been the king of picking like kind of penny tickers that have just really lifted off. I know you got in like early on, I believe OPTT. You've done really well on Copen, and then the other one was Velatus, I believe, which is
Pilates.
Pilatus, which was the image for this stream. So I wanted you to just kind of go into those tickers a bit. Tell me what you like, and tell me like how you found them. And I know those have been winners for you. So I want to hear about those.
Yeah, well, OPTT, it's been around for a long time. I remember actually seeing them, like, on a Discovery Channel show. That had to have been, I'm just guessing, 1990 or something,
Oh wow,
a while back. So they've been around. Um, but, I'm really thinking more and more that the real space to be in is in this drone and drone adjacent companies. So that's really where I'm focused. I just feel like we're at an inflection point in history where, like I was talking about earlier, how Ukraine has really been able to do something that's remarkable. I'm no expert in these things, but I've been paying attention my whole life, and um, I'm a political science history major by chance, and um, personally, I think that what's happening in the way that conflict is carried out, the way people are fighting each other, is changing in such a fundamental way than it has since the end of the Second World War and the whole buildup of the industrial military complex, and the way our government and Pentagon has evolved. That's been turned upside down. It's akin to what I would say when the airplane came on board 100 years ago and started changing the way wars are fought.
That's honestly,
Um,
man. World War I, you had tanks. Tanks absolutely
right?
changed the battlefield. World War II, you had planes. Bombings absolutely changed the battlefield. Now you have drones, which have made tanks obsolete. Absolutely changed the battlefield, as we can see in Ukraine. So I think
Yeah.
drones are now. That's the end now. Then 5, 10 years, we're gonna have eVTOL. So eVTOL, like Archer, Joby, those things are gonna take over. But right now, I think is the time to get in for the drone revolution. I think a lot of these
Yeah.
stickers that we're seeing could be, $100 in 5 years. Their market caps, I think, could go ballistic if you pick the right
Uh,
ones.
I don't disagree. The possibility is there, and now there's going to be a lot of volatility. When I first went to that the special stockholders meeting that got delayed a couple of times for a couple of weeks back in November,
Mhm.
um, and I met Neil Laird, the CFO, and that was he was very straightforward in warning about. In fact, I remember him using this hand signal. The
Yeah.
stock's going to be choppy, Benny. All right, it's going to be choppy. So, but in this drone and drone adjacent space, to answer your question, there, I like a couple. Velatus, I really like, because you only get one chance to get in at some of these stocks at at a sub-dollar range. Because the big money, the smart money is not playing just yet. And when they come on, we see what happened back in July, August, September, when that just really gave Ondas all the momentum that carried it through the end of the year. But
That's Takeoff, right? Is that can you put the
Volatus.
ticker in there?
Yeah,
What's the ticker though?
the ticker is TAKOF.
TAKOF. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Was that
I know
Tango
I'm working on an
Alpha
article for them.
Kilo? Yeah. All right. So, yeah, and if you say it with a long A, you can say it real fast, like take off, right?
Takeoff.
And
Yeah.
hey, I see M Finance saying Kraken. Kraken's great. I think that's the ticker he's got for infidelity. But anyway, I do like them. They're on my watch list for sure as a robotics company. But Volatus, there's a couple of reasons why I like them. One, they've also been around a long time, probably almost as long or as long as OPTT, Ocean Power Technologies.
Really?
Yeah, since the late 80s. In fact, I think 87 is what I want to say. And I think, doggone, Eric Brock was maybe just out of high school, freshman in college in 1987 when
Okay. Okay.
Volatus, started. I don't think they were Volatus at the time, but they've been around. They're a survivor. They know drones inside and out. Um, they are but the biggest thing is and I did a post on After Hour about this, but the biggest thing for me with them is they're outside the United States. They're in Canada. They are in Ondas's ecosystem of companies. We talked a little bit to Eric about them. Maybe you might not have caught that, but he spoke very highly of them in Florida.
Yeah.
And on a recent uh, conference call that the CEO had, he was asked about strategic partners, and UMAC, Unusual Machines, came up.
Yep.
And right after them, he mentioned Ondas, and he spoke very highly of Ondas and said he was in quite regular contact with the CEO. Didn't mention Eric by name, uh, but Canada, as well as the European countries, are pushing for the same thing they are here
Yep.
with a domestic supply chain resilience and a domestic and in fact they call it a defense industrial strategy. So Canada's not going to be building aircraft carriers or F-35s or competing in that realm, but they can sure add drones and surveillance and sensors and that kind of thing within their own industrial base. And if you look at markets generally speaking or broadly speaking, um, foreign markets have been outpacing the US for the last 13, 14 months here because of that huge surge in their own government spending, whether throughout Europe and Canada just passed an $84 billion funded their defense industrial strategy with a $84 billion, which is like 4 or almost 5 times what they typically spend on their entire defense budget in a given year.
Well, that's what we're
So,
noticing around, I mean, Europe especially, there's definitely been an upscaling in defense budgets. I mean, if you look at Poland, if you look at Germany, if you look at England, I think they're all realizing now that they don't really want to be reliant on the US for defense. So they're all kind of building up their own. And I think a lot of people get caught up with, the US defense budget and thinking, okay, if they don't get a contract with the US, then it's not going to work out. But you have to think, these small caps only have market caps between 600 million and 4 to 10 billion, so even if they don't get these huge contracts here, if they get 10, 15 billion in Europe from a country, and that is 3 times their market cap. So that's the great thing about some of these plays here is they don't need to succeed here. They can succeed internationally in a bunch of countries within Asia, Europe, or continents, Asia, Europe, and even like South America. I believe a Centris subsidiary of Ondas has got into. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for these small caps if
mhm.
they execute well, and we're seeing that they're executing very well. So yeah, no, extremely bullish on these long term, even if the U.S. isn't the first move where they see a lot of capital appreciation.
Well, one more thing on Volatus, and that is the CEO is Glenn Lynch, and he's going to be on our target list to get some FaceTime with because I've
Good,
taken
good.
a decent sized position in them. Um, but oh yeah, this is what Glenn Lynch talked about in that conference call um, with the Canadian government's backing. in their own domestic industrial base, and a lot of it's aimed at the drones, which is something that Canadians are already good at, and Volatus particularly. Um, uh, they they uh, they offer the basically design build. You know, if you're in construction, design build, train, support. Um, but the point that he made was, and they just got a contract in Germany for some training, actually, I said Germany, a NATO country. I don't think they disclosed which country, but
Mhm.
in a NATO country for drone pilot training. And this is something that they've been doing for a long time on the domestic side, in North America, for commercial drones. Um, and the remotely piloted, uncrewed systems is in right in their wheelhouse as well. Uh, but he made the point that, and because they're looking to sell internationally into Europe, so there's a lot of cross pollination and cooperation going on in Europe, and the countries basically that the United States has said you got to step up and pay your share. Uh, but he made the very nuanced point that with Canada buying from us, it makes it easier to sell to Germany or to
Yeah,
Denmark or to Britain or to other NATO countries. If Canada, their own home country, is not invested in buying the product, why should Germany buy it? You know, or another country somewhere else in the
yeah,
world. So he sees that demand signal, and that term demand signal he probably used a dozen times in the 30-minute conference call. Um, but that demand signal from the Canadian government, from Ottawa, I think is very important. And once Canada starts buying from Volatus, that just sort of it feeds into and supports. Um, it sort of reinforces um, their ability to sell to other countries. And once they're selling their products and services outside of Canada, they could really take off. And I looked for them to have a very honest like move. I don't want to predict, when, but I do
yeah.
see that coming. And
That's a pretty crazy move.
that's
That's like
I mean,
2600%. So if it to make a
yeah,
similar move to Honda's
yeah,
60 to when it was now, so that's a bold
man,
statement. I might have to get some more.
yeah,
If it's even half of that, a quarter of that, I mean, that's a generational win right there. So I know a lot of
right,
people missed on us, and they're looking for the next big move. So I think that's the one thing that After Hours been struggling with recently is I feel like it's been getting away from actual stock picks and more to just random stuff that has no place on that investing app. So it'd be awesome to see one of those big moves again where you predict the stock and then it actually kind of runs up to like Wall Street bets numbers. So that's exciting.
yeah,
So yeah, let's take off Valentis. Okay. Yeah, no, I know I have it in my backlog, so maybe I'll boot that one up. There's a few other ones I want to cover. I think we need to look at Copin, not today necessarily, but Copin, SPAI, which is Safe Pro Group, and a few other ones. And honestly, some tickers that aren't tickers at all. Sorry, just companies like Performance Drone Works and other big players that we know have relationships with Ondas and a couple other manufacturers that might make big moves and be an extra catalyst, even if like Ondas doesn't win the drone dominance and all that stuff.
is that now
Uh,
Performance Drone Works is still private, right? But
yes,
Honest has got a big chunk of them. Didn't Honest put a good bit of money in them?
I
10,
believe it
$20
was like
million dollars?
40 million or 30
Okay.
to 40 million to increase their manufacturing. They have I think a 90,000 square foot facility in Alabama, right in Huntsville,
Huntsville.
Alabama. And I think it has the capacity to produce about 100,000 drones a year. So don't be surprised, y'all, if maybe Ondas is getting some production there. But I think most of their stuff's probably in house with American Robotics and possibly through like Israel. But yeah, so we kind of covered a lot of the drone stuff. Any other tickers or anything else that you find are seeing that's interesting right now?
Well, I like Safe Pro a lot, and Safe Pro is kind of it's a low float stock. I only think it's got maybe 27 million, 30 million shares at tops. Um, it's $5. They're and they're in that demining
Yeah.
space with Ondas, and they're just perfectly positioned They've already got a good contract in Israel here lately, but if this thing in Ukraine, um, there's a whole lot of work in Ukraine as soon as either Ukraine can push Russia back a little further or they can get a cessation of hostilities. There's
Yeah.
going to be a whole lot of demining work there.
When
So
people think
so
demining is kind of
SafePro could make
boring,
a big move.
but I mean, you have to look at the demining market cap. I think there's about $10 billion in addressable market, 10
Yeah,
billion feet. You got to think that if they even get 5-10% of that, that is a huge, huge, huge add to their revenue. So it's SafePro AI is enabling that. So I think that is going to be a big move. And I know there's already been a little bit of demining. I think around like the Israel border, where Forum Defense, which is another subsidiary of Ondas, is getting some contracts. So yeah, I think the demining stuff's going to be huge.
and for I think it was M Finance or someone that had typed in the Kraken ticker symbol earlier. I'll say this about Kraken. Um, I want to learn a lot more about them, but they got put on my watch list because James Acuna
Yep.
brought up Kraken Robotics in a conversation when I was out in California. I was, rabbit ears, standing next to him, but listening to him talk with another individual, and he spoke very highly of Kraken. So that put it on my radar there. Drone Shield is another one, DRSHF, that
Yep.
I've got on my radar. I think they're out of Australia.
Yep.
And I'm really trying to look for because I think the shots at hyper growth in this space are going to come from outside of the United States. I think we got on this, and we got in on this early. But if we want to get in early like that with some major movers, I think the best chance for that is in Europe and Canada and I hadn't had a chance to look for any Japanese or South Korean, stocks in this space, but I want to because those guys can, they got some good engineers too, and
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to think that there's going to be, I guess, as you call like multi baggers, where it's 100% to 200 or 300 or 1,000 or 2,000% moves. I mean, if you look at that recent Oppenheimer article, they quoted that they think the drone market, which I think is about like $40 billion worldwide
wow,
now, is going to be 400 billion, a 10x by 2036. So
right,
you got to think there's a lot of companies that are going to, contribute to that entire market cap. So there's some, of course, that we haven't seen yet. I think as like drones become more, pop culture, it's going to be hard to miss. Where a lot of them will probably rise with, the drone hype. Think of like AI stocks. I mean, from 2020 to 2024, if it had AI in the name, it was moving. So I think it's going to be similar to drones, where if something is related to drones, you're going to see that moving in like the tech space. Now that AI is kind of, in my opinion, a little bit capped out, and it's probably going to lead the next market fall off, just with all that stuff being a little overvalued. But I know there was a question in chat about Copen. That
yeah.
is also my backlog. Do you want to go into that a little bit? I know.
Well, I've got a fair amount of options on Copen, $5 calls and $7 calls for January of 27 and January of 28, respectively. Um, uh, Copen Copen is in a niche place. They are a uh, they are in Honest's ecosystem of companies, um, and I think that's for those headsets, right?
Yeah,
But
someone's headsets.
they also they got a helmet. They make a helmet with a visor that comes down, looks like a miniature fighter pilot's helmet. Um, but that visor that comes down is they're hooked in with Anduril's Eagle Eye, and it's
Okay.
all about situational awareness and basically a heads up display right in front of their face. Um, that's showing them a lot of information. They can share information. They can share what they're seeing. I believe that it's also uh, uh, includes night vision, right? So
I
There's
gotta
a
say
lot
as
going
well,
on
I
there.
pulled up their chart. I mean, their chart's looking pretty prime in terms of a potential entry. It looks like we might have a bottom here. Of course, with this market right now, everything's a little bit high risk, so I'm kind of risk off right now, aside from like leaps that I'm holding. But I mean, this looks like a nice entry for leaps. So I know I'm going to work on an article for this one too. But yeah, I definitely am liking price action in terms of this being a potential low, at least riding it up to like the 250 mark. So yeah,
I feel like it's
hoping.
been bouncing off that $2 mark or that $2 range,
I mean, yeah, it's looking
as
like
support.
this pretty aggressive buying here with some of these. It's really hard to see on the phone, but with some of the larger bottom wicks here, there's aggressive buying when it gets down to like the 210 levels. So yeah,
Yep.
hoping. Honestly, I gotta say that one looks pretty good right now.
Yep.
And it's so Enduro. I know that was up in there. Did you see that the Enduro CEO was talking to Eric Brock, the CEO of Ondas, at that
Yeah.
event? I gotta
Yeah.
say, that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
So maybe they're getting a little bit more close, and maybe we'll see some collaborations. I know Enduro kind of likes to do their own thing, so we'll see. But that is interesting, at least.
Hey, and then also I just want to throw it out there is these 3D printing stocks.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
3D systems, it hasn't moved a lot here lately, and it's kind of leaking a little bit. But I still got some confidence, and I got quite a few leaps on that. Um, and
Josh and I have probably 50,000 or something combined in contract premium for those. I know we're all
right,
pretty bullish on that due to actually the pharmaceutical, not pharmaceutical, but medical aspects of the dentures and the defense applications. And sorry, go
yeah,
on.
man, no, and I mean it's amazing. What they can do with those 3D systems now, and it brings in being able to play on the metal side because they're actually like powderized metals that I don't understand it all yet or enough of it yet, but that's definitely something that's up and coming. A lot of these there's a company called Fordham. I mean
Mhm.
Firestorm. Yeah.
I heard of them. I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, Firestone. They're private, and what they are about is that getting these drones and the manufacturing capability as close to the front line as possible. So it's like a containerized. What they have is like a containerized factory it is filled with 3D printers, and most of the parts for drones are literally printed and then assembled by the actual guys that are going to be, you know, putting them in the fight. So there's another one. I think you or one of your contacts recommended this, so I put it on my list. But it's somewhere out of Europe, maybe the Netherlands, but Materialize ticker symbol MTLS.
I don't know if that was me. It sounds familiar, but I don't think I've had that one on my watch list.
Yeah, I think it was the guy that because he's in your town that interviewed Eric for the
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can't remember his name right now or who he works for, but yeah, I think that we got that tip through him as one of the 3D companies that he was looking at. So I put them on the watch list, and they're so 3D systems, them, and of course Velo that
Yeah. Yeah. That,
Tron found and made some money on. I think he's still got some of those shares too. But
they were great
uh,
swing plays. They were kind of going in that 10 to 20 zone, so you could kind of buy that thing pretty easily between $8 and $10 and sell it at 16 to 20 or $22 for a little while. And they were the ones that were doing stuff like the rocket parts. So I think they actually had contracts with SpaceX. So that one had a small enough market cap to where if we saw it increase, and we could see that thing really rise up maybe to $30, $40 unless they dilute it. And I think when SpaceX actually goes public, that might be a big winner just based on sympathy plays. Anything that's related to SpaceX and the public sector might have the ability to kind of move when that goes live.
I could tell JD there that I was talking about Firestorm, a company called Firestorm. Um, they are, but they're not public. They're private right now. But I have seen some. Um, Eric Brock knows the guy. I think the guy's name is Dan Maggie. Sometimes
So if you had to
Something
choose
telling me
right
that's
now
what it
between
is.
getting leaps in Copen or in takeoff, what would you do? What's your
Well, I
favorite?
I don't see any options available for takeoff.
Oh, just shares.
Yeah, yes, no, so just only shares, for them, but I've got a decent, size position with them, uh, uh, 240,000 shares.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice. I hope that one is the next on this.
Man, I
You won't
tell
see you
you,
again.
my costliest trade, in my life is the, 200,000 Ondas shares that got called away.
Oh my
And
God. Okay, I
yeah,
had like
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
20,000 at the most.
No, I
200?
had 300,000 shares of Ondas, and then started getting cute and selling covered calls a little too soon.
I gotta do the math on that right now. Then hang on. Yeah, keep going. I have to see what
It's
that is.
bad. It's bad. But, I will say this, I got my cost basis back, and with the profit, I bought the wife a new car. I bought myself, a decent excavator for some serious site
That's what
work,
it's about.
and, I also, was able to sort of backfill by taking that profit and buying 45,000 $1 calls,
There you go.
and then I exercised those in, November.
Oh man, that's
So
gotta be a great feeling. Just
yeah,
get
yeah,
those.
yeah. So I think it was November. I think they expired in December, but yeah, so that takes a little bit of the sting out, because I
I do
got
gotta say though,
some back.
at the peak when it was about 1550, those shares were worth
I
$4.65 billion.
know, man. I
Oh
know. So
man. You probably already did the math. I have to
yeah,
say,
yeah. Yeah, and I've gotten over my nauseousness,
that's I mean, you own the shares now, it's gonna go again. So I think you're gonna be a winner in this one regardless. I have a strong conviction in them, and we all do. I
Me
mean,
too.
we got the hats on. We got the hats on. So
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
I'm working on getting some merch, or not 0 hour merch, but getting Ondas to send us some merch that we can give out. So
Yeah.
with their brand ambassador, hopefully we can get that going soon, so we can give some of these out, some quarter zips, all the good
I
stuff.
man, I wanna ask Eric to cut some retail investors in on the next time he's got a warrant round,
Yeah, what the heck? Come on. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly, man.
absolutely.
Earmark a few, tell one of these whoever they are that sets these things up and, figure out a way. Figure out a way,
I mean, at this point, you might need $1 billion lying around to get a private
Yeah,
placement
I hear
done.
you.
You're gonna need a lot. Like, maybe in the past it was 10 million was fine, but now you're gonna need big money, big money to get
Yeah,
even.
well, maybe on the next venture, So, but it feels great to be in ahead of smart money,
Yep.
on it. It feels even better to have the confidence in the company and the leadership, because it's not just Eric Brock either. I mean, there's an experienced team on around the globe, really, from Estonia to Israel to the Far East to Europe, here in the States, across the states, from California to the East Coast. He's got some real quality professional people involved.
I mean, the head of autonomous systems is just an absolute, like firework. He's amazing.
Hmm.
I couldn't think of a good adjective there. But yeah, no, he's amazing. They got a lot of really really great people working for him, and I mean, they've been taking a ton of high executives like Raphael, which is the defense prime in Israel. So I think a lot of people are seeing what's going on. They want to get in on the ground. They probably want stock options as well. I mean, I want to work for him just to get stock options because
I
they're
hear you.
absolutely killer soon. So uh, and also before we get into questions, I thought we'd just start by kind of how you got like 0 hour into all this. I'd say you're kind of the founding member because you got all the ball rolling. So what happened to actually? A lot of people haven't heard the story. How did you actually go and get the original face to face to then getting us to Florida to do those interviews?
You know, um, like I mentioned earlier, I'm retired, so I've got the time for this. By the time October came around, and uh, you know, what we ran up to $15 or so, in early October, first week or so.
Yeah, we
Um,
we went up a lot.
right, and and then they announced the latest round of share count increase, and that required the shareholders meeting to approve, or shareholder vote to approve. um, I just thought to myself, I said, I got a lot of money in this thing and it's grown a lot. And, anytime something takes off like that, one side of you wants to take that profit, the other side, the greed side, wants to, hang on, and
Yeah.
and I was already burned a little bit from having had those calls called away, those shares called away. But I knew I had those $1 calls that I had bought and still had 100,000 shares. And hell, it's 2025. Why not? So
Yeah.
I jumped on a plane, or made reservations to attend the meeting. I said, I want to go look this guy in the eye, and just and see if he's the real deal, and
Yep.
meet some of these people, other investors or whatever. I didn't know what I expected. I didn't find what I expected. That's for sure. But then they moved the meeting once or twice. Pushed it, and so I had to can in fact, I was in the airport in the line at the TSA line to take off when the first postponement came through.
Oh
And I
man.
literally went to the Breeze Airways desk and said, "Hey, can I move this flight?" And they said, "Yeah, no problem." So they moved the flight, but I just went to I just sort of on a whim, but sort of on a uh, man, I really want to get some more confidence in this, and what better way than to meet these people,
Yeah.
and meet others that are involved. So, traveled to Boston, kept you guys informed, tried to keep After Hour informed. It's kind of exciting, and showed up at a WeWork office, and they wouldn't even let me in the door the day before. It said, "No, the
Yeah.
meeting's tomorrow. You got to wait till tomorrow." Came back, and I met Neil Laird, but walked into the room, and he's got his laptop open, ready to do a Zoom call. I asked him, I said, "Hey, can you sit anywhere you want? We're the only ones here." And I was a little bit disappointed, but then at the same time, I had almost an hour with the CFO
Hmm.
one on one as we were waiting on the meeting to start, and people to sign in. And I guess they had the legal counsel, who is now the COO, Patrick Huston.
Oh yeah.
He's also a West Point grad, a retired general in the Army, and lawyer as well. So anyway, I met him, met a couple of the board members. The legal counsel was on there. The meeting itself was just a pro forma type. He read a script. They had to check the boxes, and because they already had the votes lined up.
Yep.
But it was a very good experience. It put us, as 0 hour, put After Hour on the radar for Ondas. And in fact, I posted an email that Neil Laird sent me back, or returned to me after I followed up, and that just got the ball rolling. So I was disappointed I didn't get to meet Eric. In fact, he didn't even attend that meeting. He was literally on a flight from I think Poland to Lynn in Estonia.
Yeah.
So he was literally on a plane. A couple of the people in the meeting were in airports around the world, and Zoom calling on their laptops or their phones, so that they had a quorum for the meeting. But it was a great experience there, and that just set the, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks later, Ondas Capital, that was formed as a
Yep.
result of that whole process, announced their demonstration in California. So I jumped on that plane. So I'm going to meet Eric Brock one way or the other.
Yes, sir.
So
I know maybe it's possible we'll be in Estonia at some point. Who knows? 0 hour. We're going global with our stuff, and that was just the beginning in Florida. So
why
expect
not?
us to be flying around for stuff. I know we got to get the first interview stuff out, but we'll see some of that stuff this week. But we have big plans here for more tickers that are outside of just on this. So
For me, it's about
ready. Yep.
FaceTime with quality leadership. Because for me, that's the most important thing. It's the leadership. Leadership makes or breaks pretty much any endeavor or any organization. And so yeah, quality time, quality face time with quality leadership of quality companies.
Yeah, I think there. I mean, there's a lot of analysts, but no one's doing this. I mean, we're the only people going
Right.
out. We're interviewing these CEOs. Like you see Eric on like Fox News or NBC or something, but like no analysts are going out and really interviewing them and putting it up. It's all like written. So this is like real FaceTime stuff, and no one's doing that. So I think we're going to try to cover that niche and be the eyes and the ears for the community. So
That and also facilities, the facilities and maybe some of the other team, and what's going on. So
maybe a tour
yeah,
of PW's facility. That'd be cool. Actually,
the
see what
PDW
goes
facility.
on.
Hey, I've got another buddy of mine that's a retired Space Force colonel, and the home of Space Force is Huntsville, Alabama, right
Yep.
where PDW is.
Okay, well,
So
that's on the agenda then. We'll have to
yeah,
after the other ones, which yeah, we got to keep under wraps. But yeah, that'll be good.
right on.
Um, awesome. Well, that is the story for people that didn't know, and now we got it on video, so people can actually go back and hear that if they want to. I thought
Yeah,
we'd just do some questions here and then wrap it up.
absolutely.
So if you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat there, and we'll answer what we can, and then we'll get out of here for the night. Talk about Rocket, yeah, Rocket Lab. I had some big call winners back probably about 4 or 5 months ago before that thing absolutely ran. I do like Rocket Lab, just it was a little bit too expensive, near $100 for me, and everything that's going on. I think that's going to be a huge long term winner. And if you cut it at $5, you're a millionaire probably. But
No
yeah,
doubt.
we'll hear about Rocket Lab a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't think I had any Rocket Lab, but I did make a little money on a trade with a company called Black Sky. They
Right,
do
Scott.
imagery. Yeah, they do imagery, I think satellite stuff.
Okay.
But in fact they've done a lot better after I let them go.
That's always how it goes, though.
Ah, yeah.
I've had that happen multiple times. I had a ton of light path at six. Months ago, and then flipped it for something else, and then just it rocketed. I remember I bought like $15,000 worth of calls back in October before when it really ripped up, and then I was like, oh, I can hold these for $20, and those went back down, and they were worth like eight. So yeah, it's always a balancing act of not getting too greedy, but then also like holding if you have conviction. And that's the thing is why I have my core positions just because you gotta really watch what you're holding if you want to win. I mean, that's how I was able to bring like 40,000 to 140 in like 6 months was just because I picked the few that I really had conviction in and made sure that the due diligence was good, and it was. So they absolutely flew. So that's key. That's why I'm still holding on this now, even though we're down like 40% from all time highs. I mean, the conviction's there, and it's the same with Light Path, Financial
Yeah, we're
Machines.
we're going back. We're going back.
Oh,
I just want
100%.
to tell you.
Institutions want their warrants, so I mean, though they're not letting those expire worthless. There have to be the world would have to end or something. Like they're gonna get those
Yeah.
warrants. Of course, we don't know when, but they will. All right. Do we get any questions in there? I can't. It's hard to tell with the phone. Archer. Yeah. Okay. So Archer is in there. That's one of the positions in the Gem Vault. They actually got a lot of institutional ownership on those recent 13F SEC forms. So institutions are absolutely loading on Archer, most likely due to the FAA pilot programs for eVTOL and the fact that I think they're just undervalued right now. Usually they were kind of going between that 750 or 950 to like $14 channel in like a cyclical fashion, but they absolutely tanked recently, which really surprised me. It was just causing just havoc in my portfolio. I was like, what's going on here? But I think that, with the institutional ownership going up, I think they layered a large position. I think we're going to see that thing appreciate here probably over the next 6 months. So, yeah, Archer, definitely bullish on it. Definitely more bullish than I was at nine when it's near seven. I think it's going to be a good position along with Joby. Of course, the eVTOL stuff, in my opinion, is about 5 years out in terms of actual functionality, but I think they're still going to be going up based on like hype and programs and things like that. And I know that we're going to see like some Archer stuff with the World Cup. So yeah, Archer
Isn't
definitely
Archer
strong.
going to do they're going to do didn't I see an announcement about them doing actual passenger flights in Dubai or somewhere?
Yeah,
next next
they
year?
should have had, like, flights by now, but then there was, like they weren't actually flying like, weren't actually any tests going on, and there was, like, some hit pieces, and it's kinda a little bit of a gray area right now. Of course, I mean, the thing's been at 14 to $16 before they had, like, any active flights, but we know that, only a few pilot programs are gonna be picked, so I'm definitely gonna be betting on the ones that, have a large amount of institutional ownership, so I think Joby and Archer are the picks for eVTOL, for me right now. I think, money kinda wins, so the ones that have those large investments and there's a lot of money going into it, unless we're talking like a pharmaceutical or biotech company, are gonna win, when it comes to, like, manufacturing and things like that, so, yeah, Archer, definitely bullish on that.
Yep, yeah. I like Archer. I don't have any positions in them. I owned them for a little bit. You know, there's just so many good companies, or good investment opportunities, but it's about getting the right entry
Yep,
and then and hanging on to the ones that you got conviction in, own, don't trade, like Young Ember talks about.
yep, and he's
Own it,
been
don't trade it, man.
insanely successful as well, so, yeah, he's had a couple plays, and, OSS is one of those big ones, and I plan on covering that on the channel soon, so I got, like, 3 or 4 I gotta cover now that have really sparked my interest recently for some defense stocks. I saw in the chat as well, it looks like someone's going to the Space Force. You have to get them a recommendation with that buddy you got.
What
But
now?
that must be cool. If you scroll up, looks like it was, Lakai Corbin said, they're headed into the Space Force soon. Leadership seems top notch from people I've met so far. That's awesome. Yeah, JD, we talked about DDD systems earlier a little bit. We are tracking that one. We think there's a lot of upside with defense and healthcare, specifically with the denture margins, which is funny. I never would have thought I'd be talking about denture margins on the podcast, but they're absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, DDD I think is going to be a big winner. I personally have about $10,000 of leaps on those for 2027. I know like Josh, who's Tron on After Hour, and Benny over here has leaps, and yeah, we're quite bullish on DD. Hey, Ripple, how's it going? Good to see you on here. He's from After Hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that My Green Knight I think does his stream on X at the same time, so I might need to adjust it so I can watch his and do mine as well, because it'd be great to have both audiences kind of stacked. What do we got here? What top stocks do you have conviction on outside of the drone sector? That's a fun one.
Yes.
So eVTOL, like we talked about, I think that's going to be big in 5 years. I think we're a little bit early, but I do like Archer where it's at. Let's see.
DDD for me.
DDD. Uh, AMPX, Amprius Technologies is a big one. Of course, it's kind of related. They do batteries, but the batteries are going to be used in drones. But I think, energy and renewable energy is going to be huge, 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 huge. So AMPX is one of my other plays there. A guy on After Hour called Outlander called it back when it was like $1.50, and that thing ran all the way up to like 16.88. So I know I made a lot of money on those recently from calls when it was like 7.50, and I do want to get a reentry into AMPX ASAP.
Yeah,
I
we hadn't
also,
even touched on the battery stocks, but
yeah,
I read an article on LinkedIn yesterday, I think it is, and that is the bottleneck for the whole drone thing. Because we talk about these drones and we see these you see a lot of these videos from Ukraine, and it's just a quad copter flying with a couple of shells on it, or hand grenades, or charges of some type. But man, there is a whole universe of these aerial drones. The long range ones, some that are designed just for logistics and delivery. Volatus has a lot of those there that are actually working now, delivering things out to oil fields and remote locations. A lot of that is useful for the military and logistics. But the bottleneck, if you don't have batteries and you don't have military grade batteries, which is a whole nother level as opposed to what would be in the commercial sphere, that's the bottleneck. So I guess Dragonfly is a good one for that.
yep,
Um, there was that Ultra Life Corporation, ULBI is another battery stock. I gotta give credit to Tron on that one. I think he mentioned or brought that one up while we were in Florida.
yep.
Um but that Dragonfly. I saw a question there. I, who was it? Is it Mike D? How do you decide high conviction on penny stocks? That's a really good question, and it really, for me, it has a little bit to do, or mostly to do, with the macro situation, and how I talked about how the whole war fighting is being turned upside down and just changed completely. So uh, I think if you can have conviction in that a major disruption is happening in a given area, or a new technology is coming on board, um, that's the way to find conviction for these penny stock companies that have that low or ROI right now. You know?
Yeah, I think some of like on this was yes, they were diluting, but every time they diluted, they brought in an acquisition that kind of fit in seamlessly with what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Think Centrus that filled a moat with the cyber over radio frequency they were missing with like the Iron Drone that filled that. They picked up Robo Team. They were able to implement that. So now you have Robo Team have bots carrying Superior Motion, which is another one of their subsidiaries, and also Iron Drones. They integrated that. You got to find these companies that are executing on dilution. So if there is a big amount of dilution, they're bringing in capital. You got to make sure there's not like a lot of like cash burn in the sense of they're not doing anything with the money, which is like classic like pharmaceutical companies, research companies. You got to find these ones that are actually doing things and making strategic moves. And you got to look at the leadership. I mean, one of the reasons we liked Ondas so much from the outset was because Eric Brock was an ex hedge fund manager. So you know that he's probably knows what he's doing in the financial sector of things, and if he's
Hmm.
making a big cash decision, he's going to make it right. One of the reasons why I don't really like RCAT, which is Red Cat Holdings, was because they have a great product, but I was seeing like no sales. Like they weren't executing on that. They weren't really going out and getting contracts like outside of the U.S., even though they had a fantastic product. So for me, I have a large checklist of okay, does the company make sense? Do they have a specific moat? Is the leadership good? Are they spending money on things they should? Actually, the first article I did for Hidden Gems was actually how I pick small cap or like hidden gem stocks. So if you want to read through that, you can kind of see some of the insights in a longer detail. My phone is about 4% here. I can't believe it was like 50 earlier because we've been streaming for a while. It's been fun. It's been fun, Benny.
Yeah.
I did want to mention one stock outside the drone sector, and I actually saw this one from Bob Dog on After Hour, which I'm sure everyone knows. He put this one on Twitter. It's BBAI. So they were
Oh
like
yeah.
Archer in the sense that they have extreme uptick in like institutional ownership, and they're
Hmm.
sitting at like a nice bottom here. Of course, not the bottom, but a really nice sub $4 level with earnings coming up. So I don't like doing any earnings plays. I know I did one on Lululemon recently that did really well, but otherwise I avoid earnings plays. But I think BBAI could be a sleeper right now. I know that one kind of will go up to like around like the $7 level. It's been on like a cyclical pattern. So yeah, BBAI is going to be my pick for non-drone related stock that I'm bullish on due to an increase in institutional ownership.
Yeah, I don't I like BBAI. I made some pretty good money on some leaps that expired this past January. Um, uh, I made money on the ones I sold, and
Very good.
I held a few to sort of let them run, and they ended up expiring worthless. But I think they were $7 calls. Um, but that's the nature of options, and once you got a bird in the hand, it's good to go ahead and take it and let the others run. If they sail, they sail. If they sink, they sink. And in this case, they sank. uh, but I still like the company. Um, I think they've got a niche too in that facial recognition AI stuff that's going to be used by the government, and in fact, they're already in a couple of airports.
Obviously, I got a charger in the office. I wasn't expected to be on the phone.
Yeah.
So my phone's dying here. I want to make sure we get all the questions and it doesn't die. Let me see if this is working. There we go. Okay. Let's take one more question, Benny. If you see any in the
Sure.
chat, then we'll call it there for the night, and we'll answer more next week.
Okay. What you
Uh,
got?
I see. So I mean, the Palantir competitor. Palantir is wild. I mean, just the price to earnings ratio is ridiculous. Of course, I'm bullish on Palantir, but that one's. I think I kind of missed the move on that. I know I sold that at about $80 back. I got it for like 20, so I'm not mad about it. But yeah, I'd be scared to get into it now just with how expensive it is. Any
I
thoughts on
wish I still had some Palantir. I bought Palantir at 20 and sold it at 120, and I wish I'd have kept a little bit of it. But I think that they're a good company. They're going places. The way I describe them is they've got the keys to the kingdom right
Yep.
now. You know, they really are in the center of a lot. And by the way, Palantir and Copen are bidding on Pentagon contracts together.
Okay, that's good to know. And we know
Yeah,
Ondas uses the foundry technology. So yeah, Palantir is in the middle of everything. So it's gonna be a long term winner. It's just
yeah.
for me, I'm someone that likes to find undervalued stuff and then ride those up and then sell them and find the next one. So I just find that more interesting in terms of my investing style.
Well,
But
oh, definitely. I mean, Ondas is going to be or you know uh yeah on this is gonna 3 4 5, pick your number, 5x. It's gonna be $50 long before, I think, before Palantir is $500,
oh, I
so
believe that too.
yeah,
You gotta
so
think. I mean, well, we got who is the mid prime level in Israel? I mean, it's Ondas. It looks like you gotta
yeah,
think. So I don't want to hype the stock too much, but obviously, we got the hats on. We're very bullish on that. I
yeah.
saw a comment about sound. I don't know if there's SoundHound and AI. Do you know about them at all? I used to
so
cover them like a year ago.
I know a little bit about sound, and I did jump on that wagon there, and I did okay with sound as well. I wrote them up. I think they went all the way up almost to 20,
Yep.
and then I went ahead and let it loose when it got back down 13 or 14.
Yeah.
But I've continued to watch it. For me, I mean, SoFi was another good one that I made some money on, but
Me
I'll be straight with the people. I've been losing faith in SoFi because I've been a customer of theirs, and I don't know. Maybe they're growing a little too fast. Maybe a lot of their services they've added on obviously are third party providers, and you know, I misplaced a debit card, and it took like 3 tries and, over a month to get my debit card replaced, you know? And their trading platform is abysmal, and it's actually, it's got to be, handled by a third party as well. Um so,
Well, think about
anyway, I
$18.
think
Not
they're
as
having some
crazy. So
growing pains. So, I'm still watching SoFi. Sound is sort of like that too, though. It's like, man, every time I get one of these AI agents asking me questions, just tell me what you need. I just want to scream,
yeah.
because no, I don't want to waste my time training your fucking model. But but
Yep.
SoundHound, they got Nvidia support and investment, and and it's really, that technology is tailor made for this AI artificial stuff. It should work really well. Um, and but anyway, but man, I'm kind of in the drone space right now because I think that's where the real growth is going to be here for the next couple years for sure.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, there's plays everywhere, but I mean, our focus is on the drone stuff. That's where we're more experts, and other plays adjacent, we are into. We're always looking for value, but I think we provide the most, value and information on the ones that we're, really going out and studying on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah,
Real quick, what ticker was ranging from 8 to 20 as part supplier to SpaceX? That was Velo, VELO.
Velo, yeah, yeah.
They're gonna work on some rocket parts. That was one from Josh Tron from After Hour, Tron the Trader on X, and he's been, if you know him in Tron After Hour, if you know me, you probably know him. He's an absolute killer trader, part of Zero Hour. He really put us on some of the 3D printed stuff that I think is going to be really big here in the next couple of years. So
Man, and shout out to Young Ember because he has played the option selling game. I
we
mean,
got to get him on next year.
yeah,
We
he's
got to
a
get him
theta.
on.
He's a theta daddy without being a theta daddy.
Yep.
Yeah, he's done well on selling those calls a couple of times so far on Ondas. A lot
His
better than
ODOS
me.
position was CSPs, I believe. Like he got all those shares from selling a bunch of cash secured puts because I mean the premium on those things when it was about $1 was ridiculous. That's why I
Yeah.
love RR right now, Rich Tech Robotics, is because it's so cheap. It does an options chain, so you're making some pretty crazy money on just cash secured put premium alone.
Yeah, he's made some really good moves there.
Yeah.
I'm too afraid to play with the covered calls until we add another, we get up a couple of more digits.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
like right now it's just a defensive tool, just because some of the things that we've gotten a little bit beaten down. But usually it's good to let them ride. But what I do is anytime we see like a 10% move up or 10% move down, I'm picking up cash secured puts or covered calls. Just
Right.
elevate levels of volatility. You're really able to get a lot of premium. So I think we're going to see more volatility. I think we're going to see a big surge in defense stocks tomorrow. So I'll be sure to be watching for the Gem Vault stuff for any kind of covered calls or maybe CSPs if we see some things drop. But it should be a good day, good trading day for volatility. And of course, some of the day trading stuff on NASDAQ and SP 500 and gold, which I'll be doing more videos on.
JT, what did the workaholic say?
What's it, the workaholic say? What,
Yeah, what did the workaholic say?
in chat? Or wait, what are you talking about?
Yeah, just you're supposed to say, I don't know. What did the workaholic say, Benny?
Oh, what did he say? What did he say?
Well, you'll have to say this. You'll have to tell yourself this tomorrow. The workaholic said, "Thank God it's Monday."
Honestly, I've been not lifting the weekends as much because I'm trying to trade. I've been really
Right.
getting into total volatility. I've been loving the day streaming. I'll
Just
stay up for music tonight and
looking
make
forward to
1,500.
tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I'm making money off that QQQ drop today and then the gold rally. So I mean, I've been loving the futures trading. I can't wait to do some guides on that. So
Right.
aside from invest, like there's investing, right, which is what we do with 0 hour and non-disc, but there's also the day trading or just trading where we do in short term trading. I gotta say it all can work together. I mean, I'm using
Yeah.
gains from trading to apply that to more shares. So there's so many ways to make money in the market. It's just not easy to learn, and especially if you have a 9 to 5. It's hard. Like you need to
Yep.
be in front of the charts hours and hours and hours to even understand what's going on. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can drive more knowledge on that and more knowledge with our investing stuff. And I'm really excited for the future, Benny. So hopefully well no, not hopefully, we will have videos out for the Ondas interview this week, and then we're flying soon. We're flying soon to some other places. So you guys will of course get the scoop on that once plans are finalized. But 0 hour is going to be doing some crazy stuff here.
Right on. Right on. Hey, you bet, Ripple. Anytime.
Yeah,
And
well,
hey, thanks for everybody that dropped in. This was my very first Substack live stream. Very
you're a
first live
pro.
stream period.
You're a pro. Yeah, give Sonny some likes here. Make sure if you're not following Sonny Son After Hour, you do that. And he's on Substack here now, so I'll definitely put in my recommended to follow if you want to upload any content here. But I think we're going to call it there just 'cause my phone is still dying, even though it's charging.
Right on.
Golden will be up soon. And Benny, thanks for coming on. This is fun.
Anytime. Enjoyed it.
All right, guys, have a great night. If you have any other questions, throw up on the VOD, and I'll answer them. All right, guys,
You
have a
bet.
great night.
All right. See ya.
See ya.